Good evening. This is Duane Lowry for the DPP Grain Desk on Sunday, July 22nd. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Calls tonight are probably going to be mixed. You're going to have mixed reactions to weather. You're going to have people looking at a few more days of extreme heat in the southwestern Midwest. Some 100-degree temps certainly going to be common in the southwestern Midwest. Additional stress on those areas. Those areas in the southwestern Midwest have had limited precip. And so if you're focused on that area, you're going to think the market should be higher. Rains over the last couple of weeks have certainly improved the Delta situation. We've seen improvements in Indiana, Ohio. Sadly, some of that moisture arrived too late for too many acres, but acres that could stabilize and improve a little bit may have gotten some benefit from those rains. Parts of Illinois have seen stabilization and improvement. Parts of Iowa have seen stabilization and improvement. Wisconsin, Minnesota and Wisconsin have as well. It's the southwestern part of the Midwest that continues to suffer and will continue to decline and has the poorest chance of rains here in the next 10 days. That said, the weather forecast today looking forward, in fact, I think starting on Friday, the forecast begin to offer signs that we were going to have a wetter theme and a cooler theme beginning to unfold, and we saw that in Friday's forecast, and I think it's been confirmed here in today's forecast, and I think that's going to be enough to cause concern by people who are currently long, and I think that it may very well be enough to cause a lower opening here tonight. The technical conditions are ripe for a liquidation break, a correction event, and we're not talking about a small correction here. We're talking about, a 75-cent correction in corn, a $1 correction in corn, something greater than a $1 correction in beans, maybe $1.50 or more. We're talking about 75 cents to $1 correction in wheat, and we're also talking about a situation where last week's highs could very well be at the upper end of parameters for the entire marketing year. You got to remember that, number one, I don't know what the national production is going to be. I don't know what the national yield is going to be on corn. I don't know if it's 140, 130, 120, 132. I have no idea. The reality is nobody else does either. We have too many variables out here. We certainly have fields that are completely dead, going to be zeroed out. They won't produce anything. That's going to be a common theme to find in Indiana, parts of Ohio, parts of Illinois, but you've got other areas that did receive some benefit in rains, and you also have to remember that some of these acres were off to a great start. We had the right kind of conditions to encourage root structure to go down in corn, and for those type of acres, those acres that were not zeroed out, those acres that are able to hang on, they were under stress, they've lost yield potential, but they're still hanging on. The girth and the ear length was determined long ago, probably determined before any significant stress set in. And for those acres that have a good root structure, we don't need normal rains to produce a good crop from here forward. We need timely moisture. And we certainly haven't had large moisture, but I argue that we don't need large moisture on those areas. Now keep in mind those acres, there are acres out here that are completely destroyed and have zero yield potential, or certainly less than 50% of potential, or less than 75% of potential. But the point here is, when you've gone from $5 corn to $8 corn, and we have a situation where this demand rationing, which we know has to take place, we may not know exactly how much, but we know it has to take place, it's already started. It doesn't take a magical price to trigger demand rationing. So corn does not have a mission that it's got to get to 9 or it's got to get 10, or somebody will say it's got to get to 11. None of that's important. All that has to happen to create demand rationing is to get everybody, meaning all the users, to understand and embrace the idea that, one, corn prices will be high, supplies will be tight, their profitability will be threatened, and it will be an entire marketing year phenomena. It will not just be a temporary event that they can weather the storm and get through. Once they come to that belief, they begin to make plans, they make adjustments, they look for alternative sources, they cut back on usage, whatever it may be, And all of that has already taken place. We're already in the process of doing that. There isn't a single corn user on the planet that thinks the U.S. corn crop is going to be big enough that it doesn't require rationing. And there's not a single corn user on the planet that believes U.S. corn will only temporarily, as in a few months, be at high prices. So everybody knows this, and so from that standpoint, that's been accomplished. The technical condition says the market is fully mature. The specs have been fully engaged. The shorts have been completely chased to the sidelines. Once that is done, that makes it a mature market. Now it has to find new reasons each and every day to stay here to avoid the liquidation of and feeding upon itself and starting that process. I don't think we have that. I don't think today's forecast is good enough to feed the market every single day. There's too many increased rain chances over an increased area that we've had than we've seen in the forecast for the last week. And I think that since we have to feed the market every day, and once the shorts have been cleansed, you now got to find somebody new to buy this, and I just don't think that's there. We're at record high prices in corn, record high prices in beans. We know we have to ration demand, but we know we're at prices that can do it. And we know that the user fully has embraced this idea. And so I think you got to be very careful believing that it takes a certain price to ration demand. I think you got to be very careful in thinking that just because the crop may continue to slide, or we haven't seen the slowest number yet, that somehow the market is going to nicely and gracefully continue to stay firm until we magically think we've determined what that yield is. History says that's not how things happen. History has shown time and time again that these type of markets end before the marketplace is truly confident about a production number, and oftentimes the price rally ends even before we've seen the lowest production number estimate. So, I think we got a situation here where the market deserves much more respect than what people are, flippantly giving it. And if you're in an area where your crop's been hurt, obviously you're going to, have a pessimistic view on national production, and that's understandable. But I think history shows that in these events, we have a tendency to underestimate national production. We tend to overestimate the influence of destruction and stress on the crop. It's kind of like when we have a year where you hear a tremendous amount of yields at 190 or 200 or 210 or 220 or whatever it may be, and we have a national yield of 155 or 160, and you look around and say, where is the crop grown anywhere where it's even 155 or less? How can that national average be that way? It's kind of the same thing in reverse. So I think we're looking at a situation here where the markets are ripe for a correction. We've achieved price levels that capable of producing demand rationing. Technical conditions are overbought, vulnerable. Short cleansing has largely taken place, and the market seems to me to be fully mature. That creates a situation where we could begin a correction process. At the end of the day, everybody around here knows all we really trade is money. And if the money begins to tip over and we start to threaten that, recent longs, recent buyers, they're all going to hit the exit door, even if they're bullish with the idea they'll be able to buy it cheaper later. And I think that's what produces corrections and sell-offs, and I think that's what we need to anticipate here. But I think from a bigger picture standpoint, we have to respect the possibility that what we're looking at here is the upper end of price parameters, major tops being established, and a very deep correction capability here. So look for weakness tonight, and whether that means we can't start higher, I wouldn't say that we can't. I don't think we will. I think we start lower, and I think we're under pressure much of the week on corrective activity. But even if we start higher, I think you got a lot of people here that are going to be looking for the exit door, recent buyers looking to bank profits, and that's the kind of thing that it takes to start a correction process. For the DPP Grain Desk, this has been Duane Lowry. Thank you.